prefer Fahad or Sheik Fahad or?
Just Fahad is fine.
Fahad.
Just Fahad is fine.
Fahad, you're 13-0 as a professional boxer. What is
Yes.
a member of a senior member of the Qatar Royal Family doing boxing?
Well, Steve, you know, a sport is a sport, and I fell in love with boxing, watching Muhammad Ali, and I didn't think at the beginning that I would actually participate in the sport. But you know, you hear this many times. Boxers say boxing is like a drug. So the more I was into it, the more I was getting into it. And then I went to study in the UK, in Bath, in Somerset.
Oh yeah.
And then I had some time on my hands, and boxing was a great way to challenge my energy and keep me just focused on my studies and on my school at that time. And then I went back home. There was the 2006 Asian Games in Qatar, hosted in Qatar.
Oh wow.
And I went to see the boxing. It was the Christmas holidays. I was back to see my family, and then I saw the boxing there, and I really loved it. I saw the Kazakh boxer or the Uzbek, I can't remember, and I was amazed. Like, it was incredible to see. And then I met the Qatari national team, and they had a development program, and I joined that. And I was going back and forth. When I was in England, I was training in different amateur clubs, and that's where I met my current coach, Frank Bohek. And then after my studies, I traveled with the national team to different international tournaments. I did around 3 or 4 international tournaments, not a lot. And one training camp in Baku, I remember in 2013, around that time. And that's it. It was just like a snowball, you know. It wasn't something that I said that I want to do it, or no. It was just dragging me into it. You know, obviously I had challenges from the family, challenges.
I was gonna ask you, yeah.
In Qatar, you know, telling me, what are you doing in boxing? This is a dangerous sport. But I believe if you prepare yourself very, very well, you can eliminate a big part of the dangers of sport.
Yeah, I mean, you haven't boxed since last October, and obviously you're delayed at the moment because of COVID-19. Realistically, yes. What are your ambitions as a boxer? What would you like to achieve?
Well, I like to think taking it step by step is actually the way forward for me. I didn't have an extensive amateur career.
Yeah.
However, yes, I would like to fight for some sort of title before I say goodbye.
When
just for history.
You've got a few years yet. You've only had 13 fights.
Yes. And I'm relatively fresh compared to somebody my age, because I wasn't in really a lot of amateur fights. It was, you know, and being in such region at that time, there wasn't much activity around boxing, you know, locally. So we would wait months at a time to travel to fight and then come back. You know, if there was an Arab championship or an international championship, I did one only training camp with the national team. So it's I didn't have much of wear and tear, you know.
Yeah. So where do you train? Obviously, I assume you train in Qatar now, but how do you get sparring partners over there?
Yeah, I used to at the beginning spar some of my old mates in the amateur team, and then started to bring over sparring from Vegas.
Oh, so you brought in American sparring. So
yes.
With your own boxing career, do you have any desire or ambition to bring, there's a lot of professional boxing interest from the Middle East now. There's been big fights. Would you like boxing to happen in professional boxing, to come to Qatar with big fights?
Of course. We already started working on that. Obviously, this COVID thing came and stopped it. I'm facing a bit of as well pressure from the media here that, when are we gonna see you fight home as a pro? So that's also something on my box to tick. And basically, boxing as a whole is growing globally.
Yeah.
And the Middle East is following that growth. We see pro boxing now is in different regions that they weren't pro boxing before. Look at Kazakhstan. Look at more and more boxers from different countries that weren't really into pro boxing. The heavyweight champions now, you have from Bulgaria, you have fighters from all around the world. Russia came in the early 2000s. So boxing is growing. And the Middle East is just following that growth.
So
there's no surprise.
How soon do you think you'll bring boxing to Qatar?
Well, hopefully in 2021, just before the World Cup.
So what would your plan in an ideal world be then for next year? How many shows would it be to lead into the World Cup?
At the moment, it's still not clear, Steve. I cannot really say a number to really confirm, yeah. But I think Qatar deserves a really good and big show to start and enter the industry.
Yeah, and then of course it leads into the World Cup when Qatar in December 2022, Qatar will be the most important place in the world.
For sure. I mean, they just finished recently the third. They opened the third stadium, which is located inside the education city. It's absolutely beautiful, and all the stadiums is made with really high tech air conditioning. Let me tell you something about Qatar. Qatar always loved challenges. And whenever there was Qatar really to perform at its best. And it's really unbelievable to see. And hopefully you can come around the World Cup, to cover the World Cup and see the stadiums. They're really something amazing. Never done before.
Obviously, you're opening the doors to the world. You want the world to see your country. Is the COVID-19 situation a worry that, it might limit people, who might be attending the competition?
Hopefully not, because I would say that question is more to Japan than us right at the moment with the
Olympics.
With the Tokyo Olympics. Yeah. But we have some time. I mean, 2022 is like 2 years away. So we have some time. Hopefully, vaccination would be out by then, and people will, there will be, obviously, I'm sure there will be measures taken.
Yeah.
Same with any flu that came before years ago. I don't know if you remember the swine flu. Yeah. And other flus, yeah. And the world adapted, and I believe that we'll find some sort of adaptation and measures to be taken for fans to come in and enjoy the World Cup.
And what's the COVID-19 situation over in Qatar at the moment? I mean, in England, there's been a lot of criticism of our government here. I mean, how's it been handled over there? And is it still locked down there?
It's still locked down. However, it's eased off a little bit. The government is doing a great job here with helping local businesses with so many different aspects of this situation. obviously as well, compared to the UK, we're much smaller, so it's much easier to have control over the situation. We kind of planned the lockdown to be eased off in stages, so it will be like around 4 stages until then, where we will be able to go back. But it's eased off a little bit. Like you can still go to the shops, buy food. Many businesses have reopened, and like throughout the week. They reopened. They close obviously in the weekend. So just they're just easing off now. They're not really fully open. It's still kind of lockdown.
Yeah.
However, it's and we've had another aspect, which is new. Many businesses now adapted to online, locally.
Yeah.
And so you would order things online locally here, and that wasn't the case before. People before used to just go and buy whatever they needed. Yeah.
Sorry, have you been able to train during lockdown?
Yes, I train at home using FaceTime or Google technology to with my coach. Just focus on fitness stuff. Nothing really technical. Obviously, no pad work or bag work that is supervised. No sparring, you know. However, I should be able to go to the gym next month. I heard that the government is allowing certain training. We've had football come back. So what we had with football is that they would be tested and then go on lockdown. And go to quarantine in a hotel. So each team is in a hotel, and then they would be tested again, and they're allowed to go to training and come back to their clubs. So from the hotel just to the club, and hopefully the league as well will start next month.
Who's your Qatari football team?
Al Sadd.
Is that Slavisa Djukanovic's team?
No, that's Xavi Alonso.
Oh, that would be my team then, because he was the manager at Fulham. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That would be my team. So back to your boxing. Would you like to box in Britain?
Why not? I mean, I studied in the UK. I have many friends in the UK. I know that many people will come in. I was supposed to actually fight for my second fight under the David Hay. Can't remember which fight that was for David. It was one of his comeback fights in the year 2. And I was supposed to fight there, and then I injured my shoulder.
Yeah.
And I couldn't fight because I when I turned pro, people don't realize that I just finished my military service beforehand. And then I went to Vegas for 3 months and did a very, very difficult training camp. I was in the same camp as Rances Barthélemy, Jorge Linares, Babu Shumanov, a lot of really strong names, and we would train together, run together, and I had to keep up with those guys. Ordenius Ugas just joined in the team at the time. Yeah. And so it was really tough for me to catch up and follow these great fighters. And then I went in and fought my debut in Opatija in Croatia. And then obviously I had this fight just right after it. And basically it was good. It was a good start for my career, being around such champions. I learned so much from them.
Who's your favorite current fighter?
My favorite current fighter.
If I said to you, there's one fighter you can train alongside, one current boxer who you could spend a week in the gym with, who would it be?
Lomachenko.
Yeah.
Or Canelo Alvarez. Actually, I'm a pundit for BN Sports the Arabic TV.
Oh right, yeah. On the...
And basically I've analyzed many of Canelo's fights for BN, and so I know his style very well. I followed his career very well, and I would have many questions to discuss with Saul.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for joining us today on Steve Wood's VIP YouTube channel. I'm gonna get hold of Steve Wood and tell him he's got to put you on one of his big shows in Manchester.
Well, Steve is a good friend of mine. I known Steve for a long time. We work along each other, and if there is any big show that would happen in Qatar, Steve obviously would be a big part of that.
Yeah, and he needs to put you on in Manchester. We need to see you box over here.
Sure. That would be great.
Thanks very much for joining us today, and you have a good weekend with your family out there. Thank you.
You too. Thank you, Steve.
For all boxing info, news and latest interviews, amateur and pro, across the north, click and subscribe. VIP Boxing Promotions. Also, Twitter, Instagram and Facebook.